Three, two, one. All right, welcome back to the Educators Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Gutierrez, as usual. And I appreciate your time coming on here, listening to the podcast today, or watching this on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. I have a special guest today. We are joined today by professional soccer coach, trainer, and a bunch more, father, and all kinds of things. So I want him to introduce himself. Go ahead, my man. Go ahead. Tell them who you are.
Thales Peterson. I am 41 years old, originally from Brazil. I have been in the US for going into 17 years now, and my accent is still strong, but my English is pretty good. So
That's okay.
I am a professional soccer coach. I am a father. I have two kids. I started a club here in California, and among other things, now I love the game. I've tried to play soccer growing up, but being from Brazil is very difficult. So I tried to become a professional player, played for a little less than 2 years, and I had a chance to go to college, so I decided to go that route. In Brazil, is very difficult to play and go to school. You have to choose one or the other. So I chose to be a professional student. It wasn't as a player. It was tough. You don't make enough money. You're struggling here and there. You don't get paid. It's tough. So I decided to go to college and go that direction. I don't regret. I love what I do now. I come from a family that my dad is a doctor, my mom is a dentist, my sister is a doctor, and my other sister is a lawyer. So the pressure was always on to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Right.
So I wanted to follow my heart. It was, I never really liked school. Wanted to do what I like doing. So when I stopped playing, I broke the news to the whole family that I wasn't going to become a lawyer. I did go to law school for about a year, hated every second of it, and I just couldn't see myself doing it. I don't care much about the money. To me, it was about fulfillment.
Right.
So I decided to go to school where I was going to enjoy myself. So I have a degree in physical education. I'm a PE teacher. While I was still in college, I started working for a company that we did camps, clinics, coaching, education courses in the US.
Right.
So I started out as a volunteer in Brazil. And when I graduated college, I had the opportunity to come to the US as for about 3 months. That's what I was coming for. So I moved from Brazil to New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Hmm.
and fell in love with the country. The family, I stayed with the host family. The family really adopted me. Basically, we're still in touch till today. Uh,
Nice.
they were a huge reason why I wanted to stay in the US as well. They really treated me like family. And ever since 2004, I never went back to Brazil to live. I've been multiple times just on holiday, but I've never been back since to live. So I've
Wow.
been in the US ever since.
So you fell in love with it. Yeah, that's cool, man. And like, I like how you said earlier, like, I'm from Brazil, so to become a professional soccer player is not, it's not an easy thing to do, especially not in Brazil. So, kind of tell me, like, obviously you can compare two things. We can talk about a bunch of things, but it kind of came to my mind right now. You talked about, you're from a soccer nation, que es Brazil, right? And it's Brazil, and so you see the kids playing, it's a normal thing for everyone to play soccer, everyone to play football. So when you came to the United States and you came to New Mexico, and I know right now you're in LA, Southern California, can you kind of compare the two, maybe the culture of behind, how the kids see soccer, or how much it's being played? Obviously, we know that in Brazil they bleed it, they sweat it, like other nations do. Can you kind of see like when you came here, what was your first reaction to see like soccer and how it was played and how the kids kind of I don't know lived it?
Yeah, that was one of the things that it was the hardest to adapt, especially in the beginning, because in Brazil everything is so competitive. Everybody wants to be a professional player, so you don't really have to push the players to try to be their best version of themselves.
Hmm.
They do it naturally because that's their dream, that's their goal, that's what they want to be in life. So it's very, very competitive. And when I came to New Mexico, I was working with different levels. I was working with girls soccer for the first time, and also with some more recreational teams. So it was difficult for me to understand that. To me is it's a passion. That's what
Right,
everybody does, and it's
right,
intense and it's crazy. And here, when you see the kids they just wanted to have fun.
right,
The parents just wanted them to do something. It wasn't like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, and
right.
if I don't do this, I don't have another way out. It was very different. So now I think from when I came in 2004 to where soccer is now in the US, it's a huge, huge difference.
Right.
Now is, like, especially the youth teams and the MLS youth academies and stuff like that is just as competitive as Brazil, as Argentina, some of those countries that produce soccer players left and right.
Right.
So definitely it is changing. It is getting a lot better, but it was definitely a challenge to adapt coming
Right.
from a country where everyone is crazy about it to, where kids just want to play and have some fun.
Yeah. Well, who's your team in Brazil? Who's your team? Who's your club team?
I'm a São Paulo fan.
Sao Paulo. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but working with soccer for so long now, and knowing the ins and outs about everything, I still follow them. I like them, but I'm not crazy about it
Right.
anymore. If they lose a game or whatever, I don't suffer. It is what it is. I
Yeah, I
know
think
they're professionals. They're being paid to do it. They're
right.
getting very well compensated. So
I think that's something you get with age, right? Because I think growing up as well, I was really into, I would get mad and sad when my team lost, and I would let that really bother me, man. And I just realized that as I'm getting older, it's like, okay, man, well, we lost, next game. But don't get me wrong, I'm still into it and I still love
absolutely,
it. But I think, when you're a kid, you live, for your team, and if they lose, your week is bad, your whole week is terrible. And I think as you get older, and especially like for me, when I had my son, I have one son. You start realizing that the world just it's there's more things to the world, than just winning and losing. And I think you probably feel the same
absolutely.
way. You start maturing as a person and be like, you know what, like health of your child and your family is more important than your team winning on Sunday, so or Saturday. So it's something that I think we kind of grow apart from it, but the passion's still there, definitely. The passion is still there,
Absolutely.
and you definitely do have fun watching it. It's a good distraction.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah. Anyway, so let's get into the coaching. I mean, I know right now you're coaching in LA, right? You were coaching before for a big club, right? You were part of the what was it, the Golden State, right? FC. Can you
Yeah.
kind of talk a little bit about that? I know you were part of that for a little bit, and kind of tell me maybe your transition into where you're at right now.
Yeah. So I'm one of the founders of FC Golden State. We started the club back in 2007.
Right.
So the club grew basically every year. We were part of the DA, the Development Academy, that no longer exists. And the club naturally progressed, and we're always looking for ways to get better and play at a higher level. So we started out in the old PDL,
Right.
that
I remember that.
now it,
Hmm.
it, it became USL 2. So we still have a team in that league. We also have a team in the NPSL, and then the next step that we thought it would be to become a professional club. So the LA Force became our professional team that plays in the NISA League. So it's all part of FC Golden State.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so LA Force is the professional team of FC Golden State, and we also have FC Golden State Force that plays in the NPSL.
Wow. So you have a lot of levels and a lot of opportunities for the for a young player. You know, I think one of the things here in the United States. I mean, I grew up here, so I would I
Yes,
saw from the beginning to right now is the opportunities weren't there for a player who aged out. You know, so especially growing up, we would play and you would play for clubs. There was no DA academy obviously back then. But when you finish and you were 18 years old, like it was done. You know, it was over. You went to go
that's
play
it.
college. If you didn't crack it in college or you got injured, like a lot of us do, or whatever life happens, then your soccer opportunities were gone. And I think the idea was always there for these clubs to have some kind of levels to go. And I mean, you just mentioned you have three amateur, pro amateur levels as well, and then you have obviously the club. So I mean, that's pretty impressive, and I don't think there's a lot of teams that are doing that, around the country, right? So,
That
um,
has always been our intention, is to give a true pathway
right,
to the players that want to either go to college or become a professional player. The level that we are now, it's what it's considered the third division.
right,
So the guys are not going to make a good living off of it, but it's something that we always talk about. It's an opportunity for them to be seen, to move on to bigger and better things. So we understand our role in the bigger picture. We're a team that we're a club that we're developing the players to go and to move on to hopefully go to the MLS or go play in Europe one day. But it's about giving them that opportunity, that first contract to break into the level difference. Because as you know, there's a big difference between playing in club and then playing in college and being and playing
right.
professionally. It's very tough. That's why so very few guys actually make it, because there's very few that are willing to go through the whole process, because
Right.
it's not easy. But our club has the whole pathway, the path to pro,
That's
basically.
cool. Yeah, that's impressive. So right now that you're part of the professional team, right? I know that the NISA league is or NISA. I don't know what they call it, but I think they just uh it's been changing, right? There's teams leaving, teams coming on, right? It was kind of small, I think, last year, right? But I think there's getting more. They're getting more teams coming up for the next season, right? So, kind of tell me that, you know, how stable is the league? Like you said, that the pay obviously is not what the players need to, like you said, survive, but it's enough for them to, at least get the taste of what professional soccer is, the travel, the commitment, right? A bunch of things that come into the professional game. Kind of tell me, like, how stable is the league, and what are you looking forward to this season coming up? When is it going to start with this whole COVID thing, man?
Yeah, so the league just started, basically 2019
Right.
was the first season that we had. And like anything, you got to start somewhere, and it's not going to be perfect from the beginning. So there's clubs that used as a stepping stone. For example, the Oakland Roots, they started in the NISA League and then they moved on to the USL
Right.
Championship. There's some teams like the New York Cosmos that were in another league and came to our league.
Right.
I believe in about 4 years, when the World Cup comes to the US, this is going to be the place to be, basically, in terms of, if you want to play soccer at a high level, you want to be in the US. So the tendency is for all the leagues to continue to grow. The value of the franchise will surely go up. everybody's eyes will be basically in the US more than they are already. Now people are noticing that Americans are extremely talented. There's a lot of good players coming from here, coming through the ranks, going from, Pulisic, for example. He went from a DA club straight to Germany.
Right.
So there are players that have the ability to play at the next level. So the NISA League is about that. It's about giving opportunities to those players to be seen and to move on to different leagues, different pathways. So the league is surely growing, and the tendency is to grow every year. We're very proud to be a part of something that wants to grow and get better and give the opportunities to the players.
Yeah, man. That's the thing. The opportunity is a big word for that, because we already know there's a lot of youth clubs in the United States, probably too many, right? We already know there's a lot of different levels, and there's bronze, and there's platinum, and there's premier, and all kinds of things, but and academies and all these things. But I think for the adult player, the guy that just, or even the woman that just finished, their high school career, there's opportunities now at least to play regionally where they don't have to move across the country. I know in Southern California there's a lot of opportunities, and up here in Northern California, there's, like you said, Oakland Roots were doing it, and then they moved to another league, and but there's always been a lot of leagues. I think it's just being able to find that stability. The club founders to be able to keep their team going. Because I know a lot of money is involved in this, especially travel and time. And so, can you kind of tell me, like,
Yeah.
what kind of commitment are you in? As far as, like, is your week full of trainings? Are you training 7 days a week, or are you committed to? I mean, what is it that what's kind of your role right now as far as the coach? What do you have to do for this team?
Right now, we're in the off season, so we're still putting the team together basically. So we're training 3 times a week with the pro team. We go Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But I also coach a youth team, a 2006 team, and I also manage a soccer complex. So my life is basically soccer,
Yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I'm always busy. I'm always on the field, on the go. If I'm rarely home, and when I am, I'm dealing with something about one team or the other team or
Right.
the field. So I'm very, very grateful and blessed that ever since I came to the US, I was able to make soccer my livelihood. I've never had a different job. I've always worked with soccer full time.
That's
So
tight.
it's not easy to come from another country and be able to do it, because a lot of even the Americans, they have their regular full-time job and they coach soccer on the side.
Right.
And I'm extremely passionate about what I do. I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity. And it's a daily process. We continue to work hard and try to be our best version, so the players can feed off of that as well. They can they can the players can feed off of that energy as well, and know that it's not easy, but it is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible to make this as your livelihood. If you're playing, if you're coaching on the side, if you're doing private, it's about what you want out of your life. If you want to make it happen, you find a way. And
And I
I've found my way.
yeah, and I seen that on the, you're working out every day, you're pushing your players to be better. So I was like, man, if and I think you were telling them, like, if I could do it, then you definitely could do it. And I was just I thought that was big, to have a coach who's working on himself as well, right? To better himself every day. So the players have no excuse. They're only 20 years old. They might be 19 or 22, 23, but the responsibilities are a lot less probably, like, and I feel like, what is your excuse, right? If you're 19 years old and your coach, you know, gets up and works out twice a day or 3 times a day, and he's doing his regular job and he has a family, Like I thought that was important. I saw that. I thought that was really cool to see that you always pump your players up on social media. You tell them like, hey, if I could do it, you have no excuses. And um, I don't know. I like that. As a player, I'd want to play for a coach like that. Like, wow, because I remember, the coaches we had, they didn't, they were, older people, older gentlemen, um, you know,
Yeah,
whatever. I know you don't have to be super in you don't have to be super in shape to be a good coach, but I think that was pretty cool to see that, you have that grind and that mentality. And I think that the players probably feed off of that for sure.
absolutely. I feel like if you want to accomplish something, it depends on you. There's only one person that knows everything about you, your insecurities, your fears, what you're good at, what you're not so good at. That's you. It's you and your mind. And your mind, a lot of times, plays tricks on you because the number one job of your brain is to keep you safe.
Mm,
So when you step out of your comfort zone, the first thought that comes into mind is, "Whoa, this is not familiar. Something is going on here. So I got to go back to being safe." And being safe, nobody grows being safe. So you got to step out of your comfort zone. And what I always tell my players is, I don't really care where you're starting off. If you commit to get better every single day, the sky is the limit,
right.
because it's a daily process. It's a daily grind. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Some days you're going to be sore. You're going to be very uncomfortable. You're going to be hungry. Other things will come up, other
Right.
commitments. Life will get in your way, but it's up to you to really find a way or find an excuse. There's The easiest thing to do is to find an excuse.
Oh yeah.
Oh, my shoes didn't fit. Oh, it was too hot. It was too cold.
Right.
Oh, I was born there and this happened. I'm black, I'm white, I'm orange, whatever the case is. Like I said, if you really
Right.
want it, if you put your heart into whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. But most people give up before they're done. Once it gets uncomfortable,
Right.
they move on to something else, thinking, oh, if I do this now, I'm going to be better. If I do this now, I'm going to be like that. You got to stick through it, especially in soccer. It's very, very difficult. That's why very few people actually make to the highest level, because it's not only about skills, it's not only about the connections and who you know and all of that. It's a mind game. It's a mindset that
Right.
you got to be willing to put in the hours and suffer. And a lot of people telling you, oh, you're not good enough. Thanks, but no thanks. You got to move on to something else, somewhere else. It's not easy.
Right. No, I can only
It's
imagine. I
not
think.
easy at all. But the only way, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I was just saying because you're saying it's not easy, and I can only imagine the sacrifice that a lot of these professional athletes have to make. I think a lot of times we see them, we see them getting off the bus, with their warm up on, and Neymar is coming down the tunnel, right, and it's all amazing, right? You want the special haircuts, you want the $200-300 boots, right, all that stuff. But there's a sacrifice that comes with that, and I think a lot of people, like you said, the normal average person doesn't see that, that some of these kids that go play in Europe or go play in these academies around the world, they live away from their families for years, and they don't get to hang out with their childhood friends or their neighborhood friends, right? They don't get to go to the park, and it's a job, from a really young age for a lot of these kids around the world. And I think we see like, oh, look at that's a great life. It's like, yeah, it's a great life now when they're 35 or 30, but you didn't see the grind or the sacrifice they did as a kid or even in their 20s, right? When, like you said, your brain is telling you to be comfortable, right? Your brain is telling you to, like you said, to be safe, and your heart's also telling you to be home, So you got all these things tugging at you. Your mom's probably calling you, hey, just if you want to come home, or your girlfriend's telling you, hey, aren't you going to come back and see me? So I think there's a lot that comes to it. Like you said, way more than just dribbling the ball and kicking the ball for sure. I think there's way
Absolutely.
more. I think it's mental. There's obviously, like you said, there's luck involved. there's health involved. There's a lot of things that are involved, but I think a lot of us don't see the sacrifice, like you said, that a lot of these players, these athletes take, even either other people in other professions as well. They have to, like for instance, a lawyer or a doctor, like you said, your family. There's a sacrifice that comes into that, going to school for so many years, and not just the money but the time. And so a lot of times we just see the end product and we forget like the process, to get there. And I think that's I'm glad that you highlighted that because I think I'm looking at it right now and I'm reflecting on some things as well.
Yeah, because a lot of times people think differently than actually what the process is. The process is you put in the work first and you get rewarded second.
Right.
It's not you get rewarded and then you put in the work. It's the other way around. But we live in a society now that the everybody wants something for yesterday. It's so easy to get information, to stay connected, to do whatever you want. It takes a few seconds for you to find an answer of something that you're looking for. So everybody's looking for a quick fix, for
Right.
something that comes easy.
Right.
And everything that has value, it doesn't come easy. It
Right.
takes time. So you gotta put in a lot of work, a lot of hours beforehand for you to get the reward. And a lot of times you're not even gonna get the reward the way you wanted to get. You can work the years and years and years, and you may not become a professional soccer player.
Right.
But the mindset that you've created though, not going to become a professional soccer player, but in whatever you do, you know that's possible to be your best version. So if you decide to become a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, social media marketer, or whatever, you know what it takes to get to the top, to the highest possible level. It depends on you. You got to
Right.
be borderline to a normal person crazy, because
Right.
everybody will tell you, hey, no, well, this is too much. Why
Right.
you do it for
Right.
so long? Because I tell my players, the reason why I want to inspire them is I'm waking up super early to work on myself, to stay fit, to stay healthy, and I don't have a goal. There's no finish line for me. I'm not training for
No.
anything. I'm just basically training for life, because when things get
Right.
tough, I'm going to be prepared for it, for whatever it comes my way. It's not like I'm training, I'm joining the preseason, and no, I'm not training for anything. I
Right.
don't have anything coming up. I wanted to do a triathlon. I will do it. I just don't know when because of the whole COVID situation.
Right.
So, I'm constantly, I train every single day. I don't ever take days off. So I just want people to understand that there is no finish line.
No.
For whatever you want to do, you can always get better every single day.
And are you probably are familiar with David Goggins, right?
Very.
Okay, because you're referring to some stuff. I'm like, okay, man, this is some very Goggins like. And I'm obviously a huge fan. And my friend at work, he actually got me onto it, right? So this is personal, but it's okay. So like I gained so much weight, man. I was weighing 290, right? And like you said, people start looking for quick fixes, and it's like, oh, quick diets, right, or whatever. And so I wasn't really into that kind of stuff, but I remember I was just mentioning some kind of like whatever, some kind of diet or something to my friend at work. And he's an ex-Marine and stuff. He's about your age. And he's like, I don't want to hear about any diet, man. And I go, no, I'm just, he's like, no, no, no. He's like, why don't you go run for 1 year? Run for 1 year. I'm like, 1 year? Like you said, that's a lot. If you tell someone a year, it's like a year, and especially like, I mean, yeah, I was a soccer player
It's too
in
long.
in my day, but running was definitely like not one of the things I like to do. No, I don't like to run for fun, So I'm like, okay, I'll try to run. I run a 1 mile. I tried to run. The first day I went was I'm a high school teacher, right? So the first day I was at school and this kids, they're cross country team, so they run 5 miles a day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go run with them today. I didn't have the right shoes, nothing. But I said, you know what? I gotta start. Like you said, it was like Goggins, man. I was watching these videos. I'm like, I just gotta start today. Who cares, right?
Somewhere.
You got to
Yeah.
start somewhere. So I put on these. They weren't even running shoes, man. They weren't running shoes. They were okay. They were athletic shoes, but they weren't the right shoes. And I had my sweats or whatever. So I go and I'm all excited. They start running, and I couldn't even get. I'm not even lying. I couldn't even run maybe 2 blocks, and I was done. I was done. But I told myself I have to do the 5 miles though. So in my head, it was like, I got to just finish this. And I would just like jog to one corner and then I'd walk a corner, I jog to the next corner. And it took me like, man, it probably took me more than 2 hours, maybe almost 2 hours, right? To get back. And the kids, obviously, they finished it in like 40 minutes or
Yeah.
something. And so that day right there was painful, man. Right. But it was like, I told myself, okay, this is my fault. Like I let myself not do anything for 10 years, since my playing career was over. I got comfortable with just coaching and having a good time, that I didn't do anything for myself. And so I it
Yeah.
sucked, man. I couldn't walk for a couple of days. Everything just hurt, right? But I was like, okay, now I got to do this. And so I mean, now I already signed up for a marathon too. I signed up for the CIM, which got canceled in December in Sacramento, the California International. It got canceled because of COVID, so I'm kind of bummed out. But I was ready. I was ready to do it, and
Yeah.
I've been running for more than probably a year and a half now. And I run 5 miles in the morning, and I'll run again in the afternoon. And I think I could probably, today we could probably run a half marathon today with no problem. But it's cool that, like you said,
Yeah.
there's no finish line, and like you said, it was cool. Like I think like nobody wants to hear that it's going to take a long time. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that medical school is going to take 8 years. Nobody wants to hear that to become whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, that it takes a long time. And I think we just see the end product and we go, wow, look at that guy. And it's like, you don't understand, man. Like, that guy has been doing this for I don't know how many years, and I think I'm a huge fan of Goggins, right? And I watch all his stuff because I'm like, wow, dude, this guy does not care, man. And I just like that. I like when he says, like, don't call me crazy. Don't put a title on me, because you're telling
Hmm.
yourself that you can't do it. You're telling yourself that that's not human like, and I think that's the biggest thing, that our mind plays these tricks on us, like, hey, don't do that, man. Like, don't go run 5 miles. Like, that's stupid, don't do that. But now I almost do it because no one else is doing it. No one that I know does this. You know what I mean? I know people do it, but no one that I know does this. Like, no one gets up before the sun comes up and is running out there when it's pitch black. I was running out there, it was like 5:45 and it was like 28 degrees. You know, no one's doing that. And I think I don't know, I feed off of that. I like that. It doesn't make me better than anybody. I think that's a challenge for me. Like, okay, I'm going to do something that no one else is doing. I don't know.
Alex, I don't compare myself to anyone because I'm unique. I'm my own self, and
Right.
you are who you are. And like I said, the only person that you have to be honest with is yourself. And it comes down to priorities. I remember when I ran my first marathon, someone told me, "What? 26 miles? Oh, I can never do that."
Right.
Yes, you could. If you wanted to, you could.
Mhm.
Anyone can. If they want to or if they don't. Is it something that excites you, that takes you to a zone where you lose the sense of time, of place? You go into a zone. When I'm coaching, I get into a zone that I can be there for hours and hours without even noticing how much time has gone by.
Mm.
So it's a matter of people finding what it is that gets them to that point, to that mindset, to that level where you forget about everything else. Because we all have it. We all have it. Some people like to study for hours, or, like the doctors, you hear about the doctors that operate on patients for 12, 14, 16 hours. They're in the zone. They are in a zone. So it's
Yeah.
what gets you to that zone. What is it? For me, I have two things that take me into that zone. One is working out, and the second is coaching. That's why I love doing it so much. And I feel like I we all have something that we need to work on. So I work on myself daily.
Yeah.
I wake up every day at 4:45. I stretch, I do my meditation by 6:30, 7 o'clock. I work out. So by the time it's 8:30, I've already done almost 3 hours of work on myself,
Mm-hmm.
not for anyone. It's not for the looks or anything. It's just it makes you feel good.
Right.
It's mental. It's you against you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell most of my players, that they don't understand. The battle you're fighting is against yourself. Your mind, a lot of times, is the one thing stopping you from doing what you want to do. So once you find what it is that takes you to that zone that I talked about, where you completely lose time, space. That's what it triggers you. That's what you need to do more and more. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't find that,
Mm-hmm.
because you most of the time you're going to find that through some pain and suffering in the beginning. It's not going to be comfortable, but that's the only way you grow.
It has to suck a little bit, you know, like David Goggins, you know, like he embraced the suck, you know, like it has to like it has to be a little bit of a, you know, like you
One
said,
second.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, it's fine. It has to suck a little bit, you know, like you know, and I think especially you know, you like you said, I think there's like I was listening to something from somebody, and it was talking about how our mind tells us right away, like, don't get up in the morning. You know, just stay here. The bed is warm.
It's comfortable.
It's nice. It's comfortable.
Super nice.
And I think it takes like you have to tell your mind every single second of the day. Nope, I gotta go to work. Nope, I gotta do this. Like, nope, right? You have to, because if not, you will get stuck in doing nothing. You know, and so it's like you're playing, like you said, you're fighting yourself, which is like kind of crazy because we people always say, oh, you could do whatever you want in your mind, in your life. You know, you can always do whatever you want if you put your mind to it. People are just like, whatever. You know, you grow up and you hear that, like, okay, yeah, whatever, right? But as you get
Not
older, you're
me.
like, wow,
Not
you
me.
know,
Everyone can, but not me.
yeah, everyone can do that, but not me, right? So, you know, it's cool to like. I guess it takes age. I guess it takes some time maturity. Some of these young athletes, even these young students I have, some of them just click quicker. You know, they get it quicker. They understand it quicker. They understand it younger. You know, and some of them take longer to get it. I don't think there's a timeline, you know, where you have to do it. But obviously, to play a professional sport, there is a timeline. You know, you better get this quick. You know, um, so have you encountered any of these young players that you're like, wow, you know, at age 14, 16, I don't know, and you're like, wow, this guy, he gets it now, you know? Have you encountered any of these players as you've been working with the academies and the younger kids?
Yeah, there's definitely some guys that usually are the ones that have some athletes in the family
Mm,
already,
hmm.
so they know what it takes to get to the level. And it's usually it can go two ways. One is the parent that pushes the kids too much too early, and they end up quitting, or are the ones that click early and they reach the top earlier. So I think it's a you got to find a balance.
Right.
For the young guys, me personally, I don't think that you have to push them too much too early. You got to know how to do it at the right time. That's something also that I noticed in America. You go to a U9 game, the sidelines are completely packed.
Boot it,
The
Johnny. Boot
parents,
it. Boot it.
the parents are all there. The grandma, the grandpa, the dog, the parrot, the cat.
They got the Starbucks. They got the
Everything is
Starbucks cup.
there.
They got the blankets, the chairs. They got everything ready.
But then you go to a U16, a U17 game when the kids already have their licenses and stuff, and no one is there anymore. Or when the kids get to the high school age, they don't play soccer anymore because they've been doing it for so long that they get burned out.
Right. Right.
So you gotta find that balance of
Hmm.
the guys that click, they know what it takes to get there, and they're willing to do it day after day. But it's when the time matters. I don't care if a player was state champion as U9. I care when he's 15, 16, 17 years old. That's when it really counts. So obviously you have to have a good base, a good foundation from when you're young, but you gotta have fun, because if it's not fun, if it's too competitive too early,
Right.
you are gonna get burned out.
Yeah.
And I saw a former player the other day, and I used to coach him back in 2007, 2008, and he was like, "Oh man, those were the good times. Those were the times that I was having fun." So I just looked at him and I was like, "Man, I'm still going. I'm still loving it. I'm still having fun, because
Right.
that's what it's all about."
Right.
It's like I said, when you lose track of time, you know you're having so much fun.
Right.
So you gotta find that balance of working hard, working towards your goal to become a professional player. And there's some that you can tell that they're going to be something special from when they're young. They just have something, a combination of skills, talent, hard work, coachability, all of that. But
Mm-hmm.
those are very, very few.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you touched that a little bit of the burnout, right? Because we're talking as adults, right? As men who we're not playing anymore. We're just trying to be healthy. We're just trying to be the best version of ourselves. But I feel like you said, these parents, and I kind of want to talk to you about this one. This is a good one because I'm a father, right? My son's 4, and he just turned 4, and I wanted to give him un nombre brasileiro, right? So his name's Lucas Tiago. Just in case Sao Paulo needs him, or Flamengo, or Palmeiras, needs a player, they
Yeah.
can just call me. But no, but Lucas, so he's 4, and you know I want him to be excited about the game, but I want him to love the game like I did, because my mom and dad did not push that on me. Yes, my parents are from Mexico, and obviously soccer is the thing. But my parents, they didn't play it growing up. They didn't watch it growing up. I mean, they watched, casually. It's on. Um, but it was something that I just fell in love myself. So my parents never pushed it on me. Hey, you have to watch this player. Watch this. Here's a soccer goal. Go shoot this, or here's a speed ladder. Go outside. No, we never did that growing up. No, none of us
Hmm.
did that. There was no speed ladders when I was a kid. I never saw a speed ladder. I never saw those fancy little training equipment. And so we would just play our rec teams, and our club teams, 2 days a week and a game on Saturday. But we loved it. Like we enjoyed it. Like I had a book, and I would write down when the game was, and I write down how many goals I scored, and I was like, and obviously I was good at it, and obviously that probably made me like it more, but it wasn't something that was forced on me. And
Hmm.
with my son, it's the same thing. Like, yeah, I know he's only 4, and he has a little pug goal set up, and then every time I see him, I'll give him a little pass, make sure he gets a little 1-2 with me. But I don't want him to, I'm not gonna go take him to personal training right now, and I see that a lot of these I see a lot of people on Instagram or YouTube, and they have like their little kid doing speed ladders. I'm like, he's only 5. Like I don't know. Kind of tell me about that. What do you think about that? What have you seen? What are your thoughts on that? 'Cause I know you have kids. What are your thoughts on this? Like burnout, these parents over parenting. What are your thoughts about that?
When I was in college, I studied talent. That's something that really interests me. My son is right here.
Oh, there you
Hi.
go. Muy bien. Hola. Okay.
So I studied talent because growing up, I was considered a talented kid, but it was a blessing and a curse for me because I played tennis and I played soccer.
Okay.
So my mind was one of those that I was pretty good at both. So when soccer became tough, I would go and play tennis. When
Mm,
tennis became tough, I would go and play soccer. So I ended up not becoming a top level player in soccer or tennis. So that's why I said it was a blessing and a curse. But what I studied was that the importance of the first coach, the first, the very early years of any career, having fun and having someone that instigates the love of the sport is as important as any kind of innate talent.
Mm,
So it doesn't matter where you start. If you have a little more coordination than the other guy, but you can burn out very early if you do it too much. So especially for the little ones, 5, 6, 7, 8, even till about 12, it's to me, it's all about having fun. It's
right.
all about having fun. And I'm not talking about just having fun and not caring about score and all of that. Yes, it's important to be a little competitive too, but at the right time. Don't make your projections or your frustrations as a parent, as a maybe a frustrated player that wanted to play pro and you couldn't. Now I'm going to turn my son into a pro, and when he's 9 I'm going to do personal training and he's going to do everything that I couldn't do. It doesn't work like that. It's what we talked about. It's a process,
The
and
process,
it's a
yeah.
very, very slow process. So my advice to any parent watching, listening, or hearing is it's going to take time. So, especially in the early years of their careers, instigate the love of the sport, the passion. You have it
Right,
on TV, you talk about it, but you don't force anything.
right,
It's okay if they want to play multiple sports. It's about developing the abilities, the hand-eye coordination.
hmm,
The skills transfer across sports. Usually, when you find someone that's pretty good at one sport and they start playing something else, they'll
they
be
got
pretty
it.
good at it too.
Yeah, yeah, they pick it
So
up.
yeah, so in whatever you decide to do, just have fun. Have a lot of fun in the beginning and instigate the kids to go and enjoy themselves. If they lose, it's okay. My son is very, very competitive. We go to the park, and yesterday him and his sister were kind of playing a game, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to play anymore because I hate losing." And I can see
That's
myself
me. Yeah, that's me right there for sure too.
doing that. But
Okay.
now a little older and more experienced, you try to tell him, hey, it's okay.
Yeah,
Failing is part of the process.
yeah,
You got to learn how to deal with it. It's not all about winning and being competitive, because sooner or later you're going to get tired of it.
right.
So just have fun and enjoy.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing of having fun because I coached. I mean, from U4, I mean, U6s all the way. Uh, right now we're involved with a UPSL team over here too. So I have a little bit of experience with all the ages, but
Yeah.
definitely with the little ones, I like to see them have fun, man. And I think with my son, people ask me like because they know me, they know that I love soccer, everything I do. I've had a soccer star, I have everything soccer, and like, hey, is your
Yeah.
son gonna be? I'm like, you know what? I think looking at him, I think he's gonna be more talented than me, but I don't know if he's going to want to play as much as I did, because I don't know. I can't tell you because I don't know. He's only 4, but he
Yeah.
likes a lot of things. And like right now, earlier, I was on a Zoom for work, and he came over with the ball, and he wanted me to practice headers with him. So I'm like tossing it to him while I'm over here, and he's like hitting it back. And so to me, that's enough. That to me, that shows me enough that he does like it because I'm over here. I'm putting it in his head, man. We're putting video, on
You're
YouTube.
planting a seed.
Yeah, I'm planting the seed, but I'm doing it on purpose, right? I'm doing it on purpose because we're in the car and I'll play him, Chicharito videos or Carlos Vela videos. He's watching goals, and he's like screaming them, and so or whatever. A team scores, and I tell him who's playing. Que está jugando? Who's playing, and he has to point it out to me. And so he knows most of them. At least the ones that I tell him to watch. I've taken him to the stadiums. He's watched professional games in Mexico. He's watched games here. So it's something that it's like, okay, at least, maybe you don't have to go pro, but hopefully you have that, me and him could have that connection on something. I mean, obviously I like other things
Absolutely.
too, but but it was always cool for, you know, for my dad and I to watch games. You know, my dad was my coach and for a lot of time, but he wasn't he didn't play. You know, my dad, you know, went to school, he studied, he did a lot of things. He worked in, you know, when he came from Mexico, he worked in the fields, you know, as a kid. You know, he was working in the fields all the way up until college. And so it wasn't something that he had the opportunity to have fun and just play, you know, competitive soccer and baseball. He didn't have that opportunity. So I think he really wanted to give that to me, my brother and my sister, and we were
Yeah,
able to play soccer, you know, travel when traveling wasn't really that popular like it is now, you know. So we were traveling to Phoenix and traveling to Las Vegas, which was a big deal when we were kids. You know, now 9 year olds go to Florida, you know, but that's a different story, you know. So I don't know. I
yeah,
just hope we have that connection. And you said, like, I see that burnout a lot, man. I see that burnout from um kids that I saw growing up. They were younger than me, and now, you know, they were some of the top players around, playing on the academies when there was the early days, and now they just don't play anymore. They don't even pick up. They don't even touch a ball anymore. And I'm like, that's sad, you know. Like, I don't think they enjoyed the game the way I did. You know, even though I played
it's
at a
because
lower level, you know, I had more fun.
unfortunately,
What was that?
unfortunately, those guys that don't play anymore, they don't have fun anymore.
Mm-mm, no.
It's like that's why I say that I'm truly blessed and grateful to do what I do, because yes, it is a job and you have commitment and you have responsibilities and you have to pay the bills and all of that, but eh, I'm having fun while doing it. If just becomes a job and you don't want to do it anymore, that's it. And that's what happens to a lot of the kids. They play too much, too little. 9-year-olds going to Vegas, to Florida, and all of that. When it gets to the time when it really matters, they're like, you know what? I want to have some fun with my friends now. I want to have a girlfriend. I want to
Right.
go to a party or whatever. It
Right.
changes.
It
And the
changes.
world has changing. It's changing every single day, man. It's very different from when we were growing up to what it is now.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Everybody has, like you said, you see the players getting off the bus, so you have an illusion that, oh, it's, look at them, they make a lot of money and they're always happy.
Right.
No, they suffer a lot.
Yeah.
They're always in a hotel room, they're by themselves,
All year
they're
long. Yep.
they're putting countless hours of working out, recovering, eating properly. It's a whole process. And like I told you, for your son, you're just planting a seed. It's little by little.
Yeah.
It's a process. It doesn't happen like that.
No. No, and that's the thing. I don't want to make it, you know, I don't want, like, I want him to, he's gonna play baseball, right? And I want him to play a bunch of things like I did growing up. Um, but I want him to enjoy it. And I always tell my wife that as long as he wants to do it, if it's tennis, right? If it's swimming, doesn't matter, then I'm going to work my butt off to just
Support.
let him do that, you know, and let that be something he wants to do. If it costs money, it costs money. You know, if we have to travel, we have to travel. But I don't want to force it. You know what I mean? I feel like I see a lot of this, like, obligation, you know, and the parents, and hey, we want a tournament every weekend and we want to go this. It's like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, relax. The kids aren't even enjoying it. Like, it's like a business thing, but they're only 9, they're only 12. And like, you know, I remember playing, and I know you played in Brazil, so you could tell me about that because that's a way different. You know, we playing here and we only played the fall and it was over. You know, we only played the fall season and it was done. You know, after the fall, we play a little bit of indoor soccer because it was like coming up. It was a new thing in the 90s. And then in the spring you play baseball, and usually a lot of your friends would play baseball too, and then that was it. That was the year. It was like your, you know, 3 months in the fall, and that was it. But now, you know, you want kids, they can't even choose 2 sports anymore because soccer wants them all year long, baseball wants them all year long, basketball, you know. So it's like now the kids can't even have fun. It's not even set up for them to have fun anymore, I don't think, not at that level.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose, because now winning and losing, it becomes a part of it. You don't suffer anymore when you prepare so much to play a certain amount of games and you lose. It hurts you. Or
Right.
when you win, you give a lot of value to what it took to win. But when you're playing every weekend, Oh, you lose today. Oh, but next week we get to play again. You get to do it all over again.
Not even next week, Thales. There's a game like Saturday at 9 and a game at 2, and then Sunday at 3.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
it's too much. And I
So
mean,
that's why I
I know
said
it's
it
part of the. I
defeats
know
the purpose.
it's part of it's just part of the design now. But I think, like you say, you have to find that balance. These kids have to, make my son's the only child, right? So to me, it's like I know the second he gets to be on a baseball team or a soccer team, he's gonna fall in love because he likes to be with kids, because he's by himself. So that's what
Hmm.
I'm hoping for. Like, okay, I drop him off and he's gonna be like, yes, you know what I mean? There's 10 boys here, I'm gonna play. And I think he's gonna like that because of that. And I think that's what the kids also have to the parents have to see that. The social aspect and the social development is huge. When the kids get to be part of a team, not just winning and losing, but hey, you have a responsibility, son, or daughter, you have a responsibility at 3 on Sunday. You can't go to that party because your team needs you. And I think that's also good to teach the kids like that team building and being part of a group. And so I don't know, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens this year. If the COVID goes away somehow, we can
Absolutely.
start doing some stuff outside.
Yeah, especially it's funny that you mentioned the social aspect of it. I think it's what all the kids are dying for right now is that
Oh,
human interaction and be part of a group because it's very different going to school on your own, sitting at home. I'm a big believer of the social interaction and the social aspect because you also you learn the importance of being part of a group. It's not just about yourself. Yeah, it's you, but how can you help? How can you make others better as
right.
well? It's it's a whole thing, not just, oh, the kids can't go out and can't do anything anymore. Hopefully the vaccines are out, it gets better, and we can go back to being a little more the
Normal.
new normal,
Yeah. What about
whatever that is going to be.
you you're learning English. When did you learn English and how did you do that? I'm a teacher. I'm a Spanish teacher. So the reason I ask is I'm all about language and being bilingual. I know you're probably trilingual because you could probably defend yourself in Espanol. So how did you learn English and when?
So I started to learn English back in Brazil. I had a private teacher. So the grammar and all of that I started when I was younger,
Nice.
and she was actually just across the street from me. So it was not easy, but it was easier. But you don't get fluent, as you know. It's very difficult to be fluent in a language when you're not fully immersed in the culture. So
Mhm.
I knew how to speak English before I came here, but I wasn't fluent, and I believe it took what, 6 to 9 months to be completely where I was comfortable and confident enough
Nice.
in my abilities to speak another language. But it's not only the language itself, it's also the culture, what
Right.
comes with it. It's very, very different. But we come from a culture where we're very warm people, and we hug, and
See.
we're very passionate people. And
Yeah.
when I came to America, the one thing that I missed the most, and I used to call my mom and say it was like I miss giving someone a hug, like
Hey.
a full on hug, like I used to do with my mom and dad, my
Y un beso.
sisters.
Yeah. And the kiss. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's difficult, and I stayed here. I paid the price. At one point, I was here in the U.S. I didn't get to go home for about 5.5 years. So it's, yeah. So when you say, and when you see people just seeing the players getting off the bus and all of that, you see where they are now, but you don't see the whole thing that came beforehand. So I'm very, very grateful to be coaching at the level that I am now. But I've gone through a lot, like they say here. I've paid my dues, and I'm still paying it.
That's cool, man. Because I think, and the reason I asked because I'm always interested, to see people who are bilingual. Because the way I learned Spanish first. But I grew up here, but I Spanish was in my house the whole time. It's still in my house. And so
Yeah.
it's something that my mom and dad were like, "Oh, when you go to school, don't worry, you're gonna learn English, right?" Obviously. So we went to school. I went to kindergarten without knowing English, and
Yeah.
obviously I could speak, pretty well English. And so, as a Spanish teacher, I try to tell the kids to the culture, and it's hard, you're just teaching them, but it's hard to tell them like, oh, when you go somewhere else, it's way different. And I was telling them I went to Portugal last year, no, the year before the COVID, the year before, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't know Portuguese, but I'm gonna be okay. And I was just speaking Spanish, and they would understand what I'm asking. Cuánto cuesta
Yeah.
y dónde voy, and they were just like, yeah, go here, here, and they were just, it was cool. I went to Lisboa, and so it was pretty interesting. And then I told the kids the first time that I didn't realize that my language was not enough was when I went to France. I went to France and I had no idea, right? I was like, I can't do this English or Spanish. I couldn't do it. When I went to Spain, obviously it was easy.
Yeah.
When I went to England, I was fine. But obviously when I went to France, I was like, what is going, because I couldn't even read it. I couldn't read it.
Uh-huh.
It was the first time I
Completely
felt like,
different.
wow, I'm somewhere where I have no idea. But it's a good experience to see the world. It's a good experience to like, and you're obviously fortunate to be able to see two places, um, and see the
Absolutely.
difference culturally, like you said, like over here, in the Mexicans as well, we're used to, you shake everyone's hand, you hug everybody, especially your aunts or your grandma, whatever, and you give them a kiss, right? And it's very different. You have to put on this act. Over here you have to be, I have to be Alex, but over here in my house, soy Alejandro. So it's like it's this. I can't, what we say, for Mexicans that grow up here, is that we're not from here or there. We're no somos de Mexico and we're not from here. So,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
like over there, they know we're not from there, and over here, they know we're not from here. So we try to find our place. So
You're a gringo everywhere you go.
everywhere we go, man, they see that we're gringos. So,
Yeah.
you're in LA now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how is that? I mean, obviously, you probably see a lot of Latinos, there. How does that, have you been able to maybe converse with someone that only knows Spanish? Have you been able to like, yeah, how does that work?
Well, because our club is majority Latino. I also speak Spanish because a lot of people couldn't really speak English, and you can relate a lot better when you speak someone's language,
Right,
their native language.
right.
When, as you know, being a teacher and speaking a different language, they feel more comfortable, they open up to you more, they feel that you are part of their group, you're on their side. To me, I deal with a lot of Latinos around here, and I'm very comfortable speaking Spanish as well. My
Nice.
written Spanish is not that good, but to speak, I have no problems. And as you know, there's tons of people here that just speak Spanish, so that's
Yeah.
not an issue.
No, the kids don't believe me when I tell them LA has the most Mexicans in, like, even any more than any city in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like LA has more, because if you think about it, like it's just so many people there, and not just Mexican, right? Obviously Salvadoreños, Hondureños, everywhere, right? From all over the place,
Everything.
especially LA, right? But it's cool that, like, so there you go, man. You're trilingual, you're doing your language, especially with coaching, right? It probably helps you out with, recruitment. You want to go talk to a parent or something, you got to go talk to a kid, and you're like, hey, it's a lot different when you come at them
Yeah,
with that
absolutely.
language.
You
Yeah,
you can relate better.
big
Yeah,
time.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So, man, well, I appreciate your time, man. I hope I'll be able to come check out one of your training sessions one day, or see you at a game or something. That'd be cool to catch up again for sure.
Anytime. You're
Yeah,
welcome anytime.
yeah, man. So, I'll post. You want to tell them where they can find you. I know that you're all on social media. I don't know if you want to tell them, or I could post it on my Instagram. Either way, I think it'd be cool to see you and your journey. Like you said, there's no finish line. You're still very young, coach, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see you, continue
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah, yeah. I'm always growing, learning, getting better. I don't claim to know it all. Very, very far from it. I'm learning every day, and I commit myself to not only challenge myself, but to improve myself every day. So I watch a lot of videos, podcasts. I read a lot. I have the growth mindset that
There
you
you
can
go.
learn anything that you set your mind to. So I'm not stuck to one thing or another. I feel like whatever we set our mind to, we can always learn and we can always get better. And it's a daily process, not in a hurry for anything. I know it, everything that has value, it takes time. That's why I decide to work on myself, on my craft
Nice.
daily. I'm constantly improving and learning and getting better. So it's Thales, Thales, Thales Peterson. They can find me on Facebook or Instagram.
Thales, so what, what do your parents say now that you didn't become a doctor or a lawyer? What do they say? Do they say anything to you about your career choice?
Not anymore, but they did in the beginning. My dad, my dad wanted to be a professional soccer player as well. He was actually a very good player.
Okay.
And when it came the time to choose between going to school and playing soccer, his family basically forced him to go into medical school. So he always had that inside of him that he wanted to do it, but he wasn't able to. So my dad always supported me when I said, I'm gonna quit law school. He was like, I knew it. It was a matter of time.
Oh
You don't
wow.
fit in.
Wow.
My my mom and sisters on the other side, oh, you're crazy. How are you ever going to support a family? How are you going to make enough money? And I was like, you know what? Like, it's going to take care of itself. If you do what you like, you will find a way. And you always do. You always find a way. When you really set your mind to, there's no wrong decision because you make it to be the right decision.
Right.
If that's what you truly want to do, you figure it out a way.
I agree.
So, nowadays they're very proud and they come here all the time. They come and visit or I go there. They're used to me being who I am, but it wasn't easy in the beginning for sure. It wasn't easy to convince them that I wanted to follow my heart. I didn't want to just try to make money. It wouldn't make me happy. It wouldn't fulfill me.
I agree. I agree. Big time. You gotta do what you love. Thales, who's your favorite
Absolutely.
Brazilian soccer player, man? Ever? I know
I
there's hey, I
have a
know there's too many. I know
few.
there's too many, but just give me one. Give me a couple because my favorite player growing up was Ronaldo, the real Ronaldo. Phenomenal. But who's yours?
Well, to me, it depends on what you're talking about. If it's scoring goals, if it's
Right.
being like a magician, skills, and all of that. But to me, is one that I actually had a chance to work with him, and I became a huge fan. Was Romario.
Yes,
He won
Romario
the 1994 World Cup for Brazil,
in United States.
basically.
Yes.
And back in 2000, yeah, back in 2006, I had the chance to work with him. So I actually saw what it is to see face to face the best player in the world. And that's just, it's mind blowing.
No,
So
his
to
yeah,
me,
his touch was
Romario,
his touch was amazing, and they would always say that
something
he didn't run
else.
extra. He didn't run when he didn't need to run, but you give him the ball and it was it was over. Yeah,
Yeah, but
Romario was nice.
finishing, it was something else.
No,
Yeah.
Romario was nice for sure. Okay. All right, man.
Yeah,
Thales, I appreciate
absolutely.
your time, man. I have more questions for you,
Thank
but
you
I don't
so
want to take
much.
too much time, man. But how did you real quick? I think it just came up to me. How are you fitting in with the food in LA, man? Or what are you eating, man? Because I mean, you are you into Mexican food now or what? What are you eating allá in Los Angeles?
Yeah, when I first came to the US, I didn't like spicy food at all. My mouth would burn, and I had to learn that It wasn't water that you had to drink. You had to drink milk
Milk. Yeah.
to calm it down. And now I love Mexican food is probably my favorite. Now I also love Brazilian food, of course,
Right.
rice, beans, steak, chicken.
Yeah.
I'm a very, very good eater. I can eat a lot. So that's one of the reasons why I work out a lot too, is just so I can eat whatever I want.
You got to take me
And
to one of those.
I love eating.
Oh, I'm with you too, man. I eat for days. I need you to take me one of those Brazilian steakhouse, man. I want to go check that out. I haven't been able to go.
Yeah,
You
you'll
know what I
like
mean?
it. You'll like it for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Thales. Adios. Nos vemos. And I appreciate your time, man. I'll check with you later.
Anytime. Alex,
All
thank
right.
you so much. Pleasure.
Gracias. Yeah.
Thank you.